Arizona mollywopped Alabama in Birmingham in the second half, and to lay claim to being the best team in the country, it's between them and Michigan, and this is the most impressive win to date. And Brayden Burries, watch out world if he can play like that. This is Postcast on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into Postcast Locked On Wildcats. As you guys can hear, I am under the weather. I've lost my voice, but I will try to battle through and give my analysis of this game. As Tyler Broker in the comments said, Brayden Burries, if he can play like this, the ceiling's there. But I will push back, Tyler. I know you're a huge fan, so this is not a slight at you. I predicted a Brayden Burries game. I said he's the X factor for this game. I expected him to be on Phylon. He was on Phylon in Holloway, and I did not expect 28 though. 28 was awesome. He came out hot, struggled a little bit at the end of the half, and then that second half surge was unbelievable. So let me give you my takeaways from a 20-plus point win, basically on the road against a top 12 team. We talked about the top 12 teams mean that college basketball says you can be a champion. But Arizona just blasted one in their home state. Like, think about that. Arizona is legit. And Burries was fantastic. So here are my takeaways. Brayden Burries is here, highlighted by a monstrous stretch by Arizona on the glass, plus defensively. Like, the glass and the defense go swept under the rug because of how good Burries was in that stretch where he hit those threes and propelled himself from 8 points at the half to 28, and he nailed those threes. But what really is impressive to me is how good they were on the glass, plus the defense. That's not surprising because we've talked about that all the time. But they went on that run without their best two players, not just Peat, where they've been able to handle him playing with foul trouble against UCLA. But they did it without Jaden Bradley and Peat. I circled the time when Jaden Bradley picked up that third, and I was like, oh, no. They just held this momentum. It's an 8-0 run. How long can they stand without Jaden Bradley? And instead, they went on a huge run without their best two players. It's an amazing start to the second half by the Wildcats, even without Peat and Bradley. They set the tone together. Both picked up fouls in consecutive possessions. And the best two players sat for Arizona, and Arizona ran away from a top 12 team of the nation, opened up a 20-plus point lead, and held it. And that Burries stretch encapsulated it all. But Karchenkov was crucial. Awaka and Krivas dominated the glass. And in a game where Arizona was 33% at half. They were shooting 33%, and they were only down 2. I felt pretty darn good to be down 2. They were shooting a ton of threes. It was out of character for Arizona, and they're only down 2. I had to feel pretty confident Arizona would find a way to be more offensively oriented by punching it into the paint and beating up on a slender Alabama team. And the freshmen showed up, like Ivan Karchenkov. Defensively was unbelievable, and he started that rally, turning defense into offense. Arizona was able to get out and run. So you guys know I like statistics. Arizona shot 33% in the first half, and we're only down 2. Still had a great chance to win. I texted my buddies that watch a ton of college hoops with me, and I said I still feel pretty good they're going to win this game, but you got to take fewer threes that allow run-out threes, those long rebounds. Even though Arizona was getting offensive rebounds, they were taking them prematurely, and then Alabama would set their tempo. Towards the end of the half, Arizona started to build their own tempo, and then they kind of relinquished that lead at the very end of the half after taking over for a 5-minute span towards the end. But you have 2 on Peat, and they got timely buckets from Jaden Bradley to keep them in tight. Del Orso hit some timely ones in the first half. But you weather that storm, played Alabama's tempo, shoot poorly, shoot way more threes than you used to, and you're only down 2. So I said this. Good news, Arizona's right in the game when they played at Bama's tempo. Bad news, Arizona's not imposing their will at all on the inside, shooting bad threes at sub 40 from the field. So 33%, 11 offensive rebounds, but only 5 second chance points. That's the first half. Now let's go to the second half where Arizona imposed their will and built out this fantastic win. And I'm really sorry for those of you who are just joining. My voice has been shot all week, and it has gotten worse. So I apologize for the lack of quality. I'll hopefully make up for it with the coverage. Arizona shot 22 of 42, 56% from 3 in the second half, but they only shot 9 threes in the second half. That's a huge difference because they were shooting just as many threes as Alabama in the, excuse me, I twisted that up. Arizona shot 22 of 42 from the field, 56% from three, but only shot 9 times. And they were shooting as many threes as one of the most prolific three-point shooting teams in the first half. That's playing their game, not Arizona's game. They also in the second half had 18 points off of turnovers and 28 rebounds alone in the second half, including 11 offensive rebounds where they scored 10 second chance points. So in sum, Arizona was able to accumulate a 43% field goal percentage. That's nothing crazy. 38% from three, 10 of 26. That's a higher output than you're used to. And then they had 22 points off of turnovers, 52 total rebounds, and 22 offensive rebounds. That is what Arizona does. So in the totality, Arizona did what they did, but it was a tale of two halves. That is fantastic from the Arizona Wildcats. I think that Arizona did not have anything going on in terms of their offensive identity in the first half because Peat was in foul trouble, and it was just Jaden Bradley's shot making, right? You had tough shots made by Del Orso. You did a bunch of different things there. But the second half, it was pounded inside, play defense, rebound, and beat this team into submission that can't rebound with you. Coming up next, we're going to evaluate some keys and discuss what makes Arizona so special about their ceiling. Because like Tyler said in the chat immediately, if Brayden Burries plays that well, and we've talked about this on the show a couple times, if Brayden Burries hits open threes, if Brayden Burries feels like the number 12 player in the country that Arizona was getting, then watch out world, because he can ball and he can go. And if he can play like that, Arizona scores 90 and they hold the team that scores 95 per game to just 75-ish. Like that's crazy considering how quickly this game was played tempo-wise. Arizona can dominate on both ends. All that and more ahead on Locked On Wildcats postcast. Let's talk about something that most men don't want to bring up, but absolutely should. Let's stress from work, money, life. It doesn't just switch off at night, and when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rugiet Ready is designed to help take your control back of your life. Rugiet Ready is the next generation prescription treatment created to support the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rugiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue, so it absorbs fast. You connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. It's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch. And if you've been thinking about taking that next step, now's the time. Head to Rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. That's RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rugiet Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting the NFL with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Maybe you can bet on Phillip Rivers tomorrow making his triumphant return to the Colts as he hopefully leads the Colts to a win against the Seahawks and keeps them in the playoff push. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. The live spreads for the Arizona game would say, oh, Alabama's going to win because they're up early. But if you're a true Wildcats fan, you saw the momentum and everything on the wall, and Arizona was going to take over that game. And if you like player props, maybe Brayden Burries threes is one you look at next time. And they update as guys heat up. So Burries, as he was getting hot, you could have placed a bet to see how hot he was going to get. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Welcome back to Locked On Wildcats. I want to shout out my guy, Daryl Dapprich. Alabama fans, I know these are the Arizona fans celebrating a big win. Arizona fans we're on board with his analysis, as they should be, and hopefully on board with the 1988 comparison. I wasn't alive to see that team, but it seemed apt to me, and based on research, it said so. Well, his breakdown was spot on, and Alabama fans whined in the comments, and he was dead on. And Arizona, we talked about keys, Dap and I did, but I gave keys very, very specific ones, like I did each game this season. Let's look at how Arizona did in those keys. And once again, I apologize for my ailing voice. Hopefully the content makes it worthwhile, and I'm telling you, it will get better. I sure hope so, at least. Arizona's biggest key was rebounding. We talked about that ad nauseum, and my key was dominate the glass. I said by 15 to 20 boards, and ideally have 13 plus offensive rebounds, because if that happens, it's really hard to outscore Arizona, who's already potent on offense on the first shot. But don't give them second shots, and then they'll score 90 if you give them second shots, and that happened. So Arizona on the glass, statistically, if you want exact analysis, Arizona scored 90 plus. They had 52 rebounds. Alabama had 32. So that's plus 20. As for offensive rebounds, Arizona had 22 offensive rebounds as compared to 3 for Alabama. So Arizona gets a check by that key. Second one is the don't deviate from what's worked. And Dap said this very well. He said, don't stop shooting twos until they stop you. Well, Alabama didn't really stop Arizona from shooting twos. Arizona just elected to shoot twos in that first half. And I was disappointed with the shot selection, frankly. Arizona shot just 9 threes in the second half and were dominant in the first half. They let Alabama hang around because they shot quick threes. So my key was essentially do what's gotten you there, which is score 59% of the points with free throws. 59% of the points from 2, adding another 22% of the total points Arizona scores of the 90 per game that they average from the free throw line. So 59 plus 22 is roughly 80%. It's 81%. And 80% of 89 is about 70 points, which I consider paint-oriented points. So essentially score 70 paint-oriented points, and you should be plus 25 in points in the paint plus free throws over Bama. They're not going to get to 70 in this one because they made 10 threes, which is 30 points, obviously. But Arizona made 14 free throws and 26 too. So that is 66 points that are paint oriented. So still not very far off because they scored as many points as they did. As for Alabama, points in the paint, not ever a strong suit for the Crimson Tide. They were at 20 in the paint and 13 free throws. So you win that one by 20 plus. Check again. The next key was defensive. And it was basically limit Alabama's easy twos at the rim because Alabama's going to shoot threes. But if you can take away where they were shooting entering this game 63% from 2 as a team, which is absurd. That was top 10 in the country. And if they score 95 a game, which is what they averaged, 42% of their 95 points came from 2. Alabama doesn't shoot mid-range jump shots. So if you make that number diminish, and I said, hold them to 50% from 2, and then that changes the number of points from 40 to 30. And that's a huge gap. And instead, Alabama made 12 threes and 13 twos. So they scored 26 twos and 26 points off of twos, that is. And not all of them were the paint because they only scored 20 in the paint. Arizona, a clear-cut check mark right there. So I said I want 32 points in the paint or fewer. They were 12 under that, and that was ambitious against a team that scores 90 plus a game. The next key is Alabama shoots the 7th most threes in the country, and they make over 12 per game. But make the non-usual suspects hit them. I want the following players to combine for fewer than 5 threes. Latrell Wrightsell, Houston Millett, and Amari Allen. Well, Wrightsell was really good, and he had three threes. But you saw Amari Allen go 0 of 3, and you saw Houston Millett go 1 of 3. That's only 4 between those guys, and it made Philon take difficult shots. He went 7 of 16. He had a good game, but 7 of 16, but he had 5 turnovers. And also shout out to Dap again. He was being attacked for saying, he was saying you got to end up passing the ball and that these guys don't turn it over because their turnovers, even at a high tempo, did not equate to turnovers. Well, LeBaron Philon in big games has turned the ball over against Purdue, against Gonzaga, and now against Arizona, 5 turnovers. So he was spot on there. The keys, Arizona went 4 for 4. And as a whole, they dominated the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I think that Michigan, I know some people don't want to hear about that, but I'm just a college basketball guy. Like, I love college basketball. I think Michigan deserves a ton of praise, but I think they've played a fairly fraudulent schedule. Like, I don't think Auburn's very good. And they beat Gonzaga, and they beat the brakes off of Gonzaga. But Gonzaga is so interior oriented. If you play a big team, like that is a shock to the system. Everyone else Michigan's played, not very good. So Alabama is a better team than everyone but Gonzaga that Michigan has played. And Arizona beat them by 20 in the state of Alabama. And I think that Arizona has the best win in the country, either that or Iowa State over Purdue when Arizona traveled to UConn at UConn and beat them. And then they beat Alabama here. They beat Auburn by 20, and they have all those wins. Like, I've been very consistent in saying that the resume is not even close, but Arizona is getting better. And that's what should scare teams, that Arizona is getting significantly, significantly better. And let's talk about Brayden Burries. Burries, the issue has been he has not shot it well. And he started this game shooting it poorly, so I really want to applaud his resiliency. Because in the first half, Burries was aggressive early, looked very good, but at the end of one, he was 3 of 10 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. And I noticed something. This is going to be really interesting. This is from someone who absolutely adores the art of shooting a basketball and has spent copious hours in a gym doing so. I watched Brayden Burries shoot open threes, and if you rewatch this game, what do you notice about the way he misses? And I'll see if anyone mentions this in the comments, but when Burries spots up, his ball misses to the right. And he doesn't do that as much at the top of the key, but when he's in the wings, he misses to the right. And so he's in the left corner. He had 2 wide open ones, and he missed right, both of them. He missed one from the left wing to the right. And I think that from the top of the key, he is more comfortable. But that's not exactly where you spot up shots. Like, that's called above the break 3. I'm very curious to see how that develops, but I want to applaud the resiliency of Brayden Burries to knock down threes, to hit threes when open, and then also have the chutzpah, the want to affect the game defensively throughout the first couple weeks of the season. And now he's averaging north of 20 over the last 5 games. And I know that's accelerated by today, 28, but he was averaging 17 for the last 4 before this one. And Brayden Burries can really play. Like, he plays with composure. He plays with a nice pace to him. He's better defensively than we thought. He rebounds the ball. He had 7 boards. And also, I mean, I know I said this at the outset, and this is like one of the biggest takeaways, but I glazed over it still. Arizona's best 2 players are Peat and Jaden Bradley, bar none. They made this run that put away a top 12 team in their home state in Birmingham, beating Alabama by 20 plus, and what built this lead and put away a team that had the lead at half and led by 4, 43-39 after scoring the first bucket of the second half without Peat and without Jaden Bradley. Brayden Burries gets the acclaim for scoring buckets, and he deserves it. Mo Krivas had 14 points, 14 boards, and I actually thought I wanted him to be more aggressive. Tobe Awaka on the glass is the best rebounder in the country, and that's statistically proven in terms of his rebounding percentage. Tobe Awaka and Mo Krivas are monsters, and in the total game, they combined for 19 boards between the pair of them. In the second half alone, though, they combined for 16 boards. In the second half alone, Alabama combined for 13 boards. Like, Tobe and Mo absolutely dominated. And Arizona's getting better, and they're not plateauing. I mentioned this when we played Auburn because it popped in my head, but Auburn was the best team in the country at this time last year. But they were older, and they had like sets and chemistry that very few teams could parallel, but they didn't improve throughout the season. If a team had size to mitigate the impact of Janai Broome, then there was solutions to playing them. If you didn't have to double, they wouldn't get as many open threes. Arizona has won in so many different fashions. They've won playing quickly. They've won playing slowly. They've won playing without shooting threes. They've made 2 threes against Florida. They made 10 today against Alabama. But the consistency is that they're going to dominate on the interior. They're going to score 60 to 70 points between points in the paint plus free throws made. And you're going to score 70 there. Let's say anything from 3 is gravy. And if you say you start your baseline at 65 and you add, let's say, an average of 6 threes per game, which is what Arizona's at right now, 6 or 7, you get 18 or 21 more points right there, and you're in the 80s. And there, with the defense Arizona possesses, you're going to win every game like that. It takes an spectacular, extraordinary performance from another team to beat Arizona, even if they play their average. And that's because of how good their defense is. And the pace is getting better for Arizona. I talked before the season about pace. and the pace is getting better. And I think that actually behooves Arizona because they have multiple bodies who can get out run. And one guy who's fantastic at getting out and turning defense into offense is uh, you have Ivan Karchenkov deflect a ball, take it to the rack. Burries gets out and run. These guys are composed, strong athletes, and they're not going to draw a claim for that, but you're going to score all those points in transition. Not to mention you get more chances in the half court, and Arizona's very effective there. And great point here by Rick. And I had this in my notes, but I got off on a tangent. He said, my bingo card didn't have Peat scoring 5 points and Arizona winning by 21. Yeah, that's how good a team this is. Peat scored 5 points. Jaden Bradley was a relatively non-factor in the second half, and Arizona won by 21 against a top 12 team in their home state. We'll discuss that and a little more coming up next on Locked On Wildcats Postcast. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is a gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame photos before you get it, before gifting it. So before they get it, when they plug it in, the memories are already uploaded and already present. No apps to figure it out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. So if you have grandparents, new parents, newlyweds, whoever loves photos, this is going to make you a winner on holiday season. Maybe to have a photo of some of Arizona's dominant displays if you got an Arizona fan in your life. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter by using promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code COLLEGE. This deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions do apply. Welcome back to Postcast, Locked On Wildcats. Arizona dominated Alabama. And that is, I didn't expect a win like that. I told you guys I was nervous before. Like every other game this season, except for the UConn game, I felt very confident Arizona's going to win, including the Florida game. I felt very good about the UCLA game. And both those, they won by narrow margin. So it's not like, wow, it's a blowout. But I just like the stylistic matchup. This matchup concerned me because I think that Arizona could fall into the trap of shooting too many threes. I thought they did in the first half, weathered that storm, Peat in foul trouble, and shooting poorly, not necessarily cashing in on second chances, and they were not able to pull away, speaking of Alabama. So the longer that went on, the better I felt about Arizona's chances. In my wildest dreams, after that start and Peat scoring just 5 points, I would not have imagined Arizona winning by 21. And I've been as high on any all of you guys, not as an Arizona guy coming into the season, but researching, I was as high on Arizona as anyone in the country, you guys included. And this game, I underestimated Arizona, and I didn't think I could do that. Arizona's for real. Like, they are fantastic. Defensively, I think they're even better than they are offensively, and offensively, they're scoring 90 a game. The formula is reproducible. It is excellent. It is score the ball, bludgeon the interior, get second chances, make the other team relent in that facet of the game, score 60 to 70 points between points in the paint and free throws, and anything else is gravy. Defensively, I thought Arizona could be a top 20 team. I talked to Ryan Hammer before the season. And before that, he said, I don't know if you can play the pace Arizona likes to play and be as good defensively. Well, Arizona, I'll update Ken Palm as we speak and see what their rankings say. But my guess is Arizona's offensive tempo is going to get even higher. Arizona is up to 7th offensively and 7th defensively. That is elite. Top 10 of both. And 39th in tempo. 39th in tempo, 7th defensively is a fantastic level because that still means you're playing quickly. And the difference between 39th and 20th is very small. And statistically, a game where you can score 90 after shooting poorly in the first half, not converting on second chances, and your best player scoring 5 points in the whole game and playing minimal minutes, your second best player and your team captain, your leader, and Jaden Bradley, he had big shots in the first half. I want to be clear. He kept Arizona afloat at big moments in the first half when Arizona trailed by the largest deficit of 7. But He had a minimal impact in the second half. And guys like Tobe Awaka and Mo Krivas dominated this game. Brayden Burries, rightfully so, gets a ton of flowers, and I'm thrilled for him. But Arizona's backbone and their identity of this team is not Jaden Bradley. It's not Peat. It's Tobe Awaka and Mo Krivas, because they dominate the glass, get extra possessions, and rebound the ball so well that they protect the rim and they get the rebounds defensively, start the offense, and defensively they stop. And in the chat, it says we have 8 stars. Yeah, you had your best 2 players not play for an extended period, and all of a sudden Alabama was down 20. Like, no one can say that in the entire country. I've said this before. I think there are starting 5s better than Arizona's. Not many, but there are no starting 8s better than Arizona's. Not even close. I've said that throughout this season. And I think as Brayden Burries gains confidence, it's going to be even more so there. So I'm going to check my notes, see if I have any more thoughts that I jotted down throughout this game. But LeBaron Philon scored. Todd Pettiford scored. But Alabama and Auburn don't have the same formula. Alabama sprays it around and has tons of guys who can score. And one of the keys was limit the ancillary pieces. Latrell Wrightsell was really good. No one else at Alabama had a prayer because Ivan Karchenkov swallowed them up. Brayden Burries, I've applauded tremendously throughout this year, even when struggling shooting the ball, for his defensive abilities. I had him as the X factor entering this game, and I wish I could say, oh yeah, I knew he'd score 28. But no, he was the X factor for me because I thought he would be able to switch between Philon and Holloway and limit those two and then punish them on the other end because neither of those guys like to guard. I did think he'd score 15 plus, but I didn't think 28. My guy Dap said he had Krivas with a double-double. It was Krivas got a triumphant double-double of 14 and 14. He had 20 and 10, but I think 14 and 14 even is more emphatic because he missed a bunch of bunnies. He got fouled a ton of times. But Arizona just has too many waves to throw you, too many punches, too many pitches. They can throw all these different pitches, and a batter wants only a fastball. Well, Arizona, wasn't getting you with their off-speed stuff, aka shooting threes in the first half, and they were struggling. And all of a sudden, they brought their fastball and said, yeah, try to catch 100 at the chin, and they blew you away. Arizona has a multifaceted approach. Their fastball is among the best in the country. Their depth makes them untouchable at times, and I think they play one of the best A games in the country. And I think their B game, and I would say they played like a C- game in the first half. We're only bound by 2, played an A- game in the rest of the way, and blew away a team that believes they can win a national championship. It's a special, special team in Tucson. I think the Final Four praise, you never want to get too far ahead of yourself. This is the best team in the nation right now. And if you're the best team in the nation by right now, you absolutely have every shot to win a championship. And I've seen people talking on the comments. Thank you guys, of course, for tuning in today. But in the comments recently talking about Final Four predictions and futures. I placed a future before the season on Arizona at 35-1. I wouldn't say it's a bad move to look at futures for Arizona right now. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Apologies for my raspy and very sore throat. I hopefully will be feeling better. I will have content up for you, breaking down this game with the extreme detail coming up soon. Go Wildcats, bear down, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and what a win by the Arizona Wildcats.